What up? This is your boy, alias Onassis, the man with many names, many faces. Welcome to the Krown Affair. We have a very special guest today, Dominic Fondon. Dominic Fondon, very impressive resume here. He is the director and producer, Atlanta, Georgia, USA, known for the documentary The Dream Chaser, a film consisting of over 50 interviews of hip-hop industry, top elites, close friends, and the entire family of 18-year-old slain rap star Lil Snupe. Dominic had started filming music videos for former Roc Nations rap star Tru Def in 2011, as well as documenting multi-platinum recording artist Percy, better known as Master P. Miller, and community activist Bruce Carter's organization, The Next Top CEO in Dallas, Texas. He began a production company called Iconix MVP in 2011, which expanded to become the current company, Clear Motion Films. Today, he has directed hundreds of music videos and promotional videos for many celebrities, personalities, and organizations, from rappers Lil Baby, Future, Cardi B, 2 Chainz, the Potter's House Church in Dallas. Dominic Fondon is now pushing Clear Motion Films to produce more commercial work with his business partner, Rahim Handy. All right, Dominic is currently in production on multiple music videos, reality TV shows, movies, and documentary films that he is producing and directing. He has worked on media for BET Hip Hop Awards, as well as the military Yellow Ribbon program as an assistant production manager since 2013, conducting live shows all across the U.S. He has also grown Clear Motion Films to be based out of 2 regional offices in Atlanta, as well as in Dallas. Very long and impressive resume there for a young man. You've done quite a bit of work. Appreciate you taking the time out today to join me. Start with some basics. How you doing today?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Being a life as an entrepreneur, father, never a dull moment,
A lot of your plate. Oh, yeah. All right. So clearly you have some expertise and specialization in filming and photography, videography. I know it's been somewhat of a long route to get to where you are today, but it is obviously attainable. Part of what we do here on the Krown Affair is really trying to show, our subscribers and viewers on how they can wear their own crown, and whatever path of life they may choose. So we like speaking to experts like yourself to kind of, give people an idea of what is involved and what it takes to kind of get to where you are. A lot of times people see the finished product. They see the finish line, and that's kind of, I want to be where that person is, and they don't always understand what the work was to get to where you are. Yep. So now that we've kind of shared your resume here, I kind of want to go back in time, though. I always like to start with, the basics, the beginnings of where, my guest has started in life. Because I think that's important to say that, no matter where you come from, there is opportunity for you to make it. So I know some of these things already, but I want to ask just for our viewers, tell us, where you're from, kind of your beginnings, and what was your start, your foundation for you?
Yep. So I'm originally from Sikeston, Missouri, which is a small town, southeast of Missouri, 2 hours south of St. Louis, 2 hours north of Memphis, right on I-55. Pretty much growing up, I've always been into art, not even really knowing that I could make money from it. I remember, and even in elementary all the way through high school, I would do people projects in art, saying they'd give me their little lunch money or whatever the case may be. I've always been not even knowing what an entrepreneur was. I didn't grow up knowing what it was, but I was really like being an entrepreneur. I'm, doing people projects for money and stuff like that. So long story short, I really didn't know that I had a really fascination for the camera. The first time I kind of got fascinated by it was when one of my art teachers, Miss Roberts, was like, she had us make a camera out of a shoebox. I don't know how we did it, but you had to get the developing paper, go into the dark room, make your camera box. I remember taking a picture. All my first few pictures was terrible. Overexposed, underexposed. One came out right, and I remember seeing that picture and letting it, develop in my hand. I was just like, man, okay, I kind of like this. But at that time, I had track and basketball. I had so many other things. It's my junior and senior year. I'm thinking about college, where I'm gonna go. So I was like, yeah, all right, it might be something I just might like just right now, just to get past the class. So then, obviously, I left. After high school, I went to college, Coffeyville Community College in Coffeyville, Kansas, where I ran track. I ran track there. I was on a scholarship. Everything's going good until I got hurt.
Okay.
They pulled that plug quick. After that season or whatever with track, I had to go back home, regroup. So I kind of put all my eggs into track, but I still had drawing in my, like as a hobby. I used to draw all the time still, just kind of ways to express myself and kind of lose track of time and just get away from everything that I'm going through in college with school and everything. So when track happened, that kind of ended, it kind of put me into like, okay, now this is the real world. I don't have high school. I don't have no teachers. It's just me. What am I going to do? So I reached out to my sister in Dallas, Texas, at the time, and I was just talking to her, just kind of rekindling our relationship because I really haven't seen her in a while since then. So I talked to her mother about actually moving to Dallas. My roommate was from Dallas, so my first time going down there, I was like, all right, I could live down here. I went down there one Christmas or whatever. So she was like, yeah. So she opened the door for the opportunity for me to come down there and actually live with them to get on my feet. So, of course, moving from the country and moving to Dallas was just mind blowing. Like I couldn't even drive on the highways. I'm used to going 30. People running me off the road. So, long story short, I got into Dallas, got into college. 3 months later, had my own crib. I was doing good. 3 months in Dallas, I was doing great.
Right, so let me jump in real quick because I want to really get into the psyche of what that was like for you. I know some people. I was talking to my oldest son Isaiah this afternoon, and he's 16. He's looking at what he wants to do. He know he has a year and a half yet left in high school, and he has several passions. So it sounded like you had several passions as well. But it seemed like you had kind of chosen the path of athletics. So you were doing track. I know you did some basketball. But to get that injury, like, where was your head? Did you quickly adjust, or was it really like, man, this is what I wanted for so long? How do you deal with that disappointment of this dream that I was chasing may not come true?
It was kind of heartbreaking, and at the same time, it was like running into a dead end because it was like I really put all my eggs into it. You know what I mean? Like I've been doing track since I was in 6th, 7th grade, and now it's like, dang, like what do I do now? So I never looked into like drawing or doing any of that, the camera stuff and none of that to make money. Some of it I was just doing just for fun, just messing around with it. Like, it's a hobby. I don't see myself making money from it. Track is going to be it. But once I got hurt, I had to go back home. I had to find me a job. Had to go make some money. Had to go pay some bills. Little bills I had back then, a little phone bill. Back when you that young, 19, 20, you think you got major bills. That's really nothing,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, at that point, it was just sitting back and realizing what I had. And I always knew that art was something that I always had a passion for since elementary all into now, my whole life.
And see, I saw a story recently with Dwayne The Rock Johnson was saying that, he played football through high school, college, and, he got accepted into a professional league in Canada.
Yeah.
And, early into the season, went through all the stuff they have to go through, end up getting cut from the team.
Yeah.
And for him, that shattered his world. It was like, this was what I was going to do. He put a lot of energy, effort into this work. But now in hindsight, he can reflect and say that was probably the best thing that ever happened to him, getting cut, because it put him on a different path to doing the wrestling. And of course, being probably the biggest superstar in the world right now. So I want to kind of drive that message home that, a lot of people have dreams, they have passions, and sometimes you come up against a wall, and we've all been kind of, taught and trained, just persevere to push through it. And sometimes that door closing in your face, so to speak, might be the best thing for you. A lot of times people don't realize that, I don't have to force a square peg into a round hole. There is some other ways, some other things I can do. Sometimes that's the best thing in the world that happened to them. I don't know if you're much of a spiritual person or not, but sometimes we feel like God's trying to send you a message like, do I keep pushing this issue, or do I say, hey, let me fall back, let me reflect on this and see if there's another path for me? So the fact that you was able to kind of pivot and say, I do have some other talents that I'm good at, and choose another path says a lot. A lot of people just get in a rut, they get into an injury and it's like, all I want to do in my life was do this one thing. When they can't do that one thing, it just, the world turns upside down. So
Yeah.
I want to send that message to everyone out there that's saying that, hey, you know, I may have pursued something, whether it was basketball, football, you know, or acting. And just because that one dream doesn't pan out the way you kind of hoped it would, that there are still other ways to find passions and dreams fulfilled. So I appreciate you sharing that. So you're out in Dallas now. You're chasing this new dream. You know, you're taking these talents that you developed early on with the artistry.
Yeah.
So pick us up from there. How's things going out there?
Dallas was going pretty good. I still was into, you know, still taking art classes in college and everything. But then I went into another fork in the road where I wanted to do the camera stuff full time, but I didn't know how to do it. I knew I needed to, but I was afraid to do it full time. At this point in my life, I was going to school in the mornings, going to school from maybe 7 to 3, and I remember getting off at 3, running straight to work to be at work at 4, and being at work until 11 p.m. That was my routine for like a year, like a whole school year. But at the same time, it was like I was just miserable, man, and I was just like, what can I do to get my business? You know, when you get the Sally Mae checks or whatever, I took my check. I went and bought a camera, computer. I said, man, look, I'm finna quit school. You know, my mom, everybody didn't like it. I'm like, it just ain't for me, because it was to the point where as a creative, only thing that was changing throughout my day was my clothes. Everything was exactly the same, to the point where I can kind of time it. Like I remember this guy in college, he used to ride his bike on campus, and sometimes I guess he was going to a certain class and we would just cross paths, and I could predict him riding by every day. Like I'm like, this dude gonna pass by. It was a little bike clicking across, and I was like, man, am I living? I feel like I'm living a cartoon. Like, so I'm like, there's nothing interesting about my life, and college is for people that want to go to college, want to be a doctor, lawyer, do it. But as a creative, for me, especially with how the world was changing at that time, you got YouTube, so much information out there to get ahead, and the internet is really doing what it need to do, social media. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna do this full time. So I just pulled the plug, stopped school. I just quit one day, made the decision, bought my camera and laptop that same day, started using my family, my nieces and nephews as like props as a photographer first.
So hold on, let me unpack some of this, because you got a lot of jewels in there, and I don't know if you realize how many jewels are in this story here. So again, you're from a small town in Missouri. All right. To my knowledge, raised by a single mother.
Single mother, yes.
All right. Siblings.
Two brothers that live with me, and you know, of course, my other siblings on my dad's side that I knew, my sisters and brothers.
And yet here you are, leaving your hometown, leaving your home state, go to a whole nother place. That in and of itself, you know, I've lived in New York City, I lived in Miami, I lived in big cities, I lived in some small towns. And one of the challenges I know for people that grow up in small towns is a lot of times leaving that comfort zone, you know, stepping out and saying, you know, all this is familiar to me, but I'm gonna step out into the world. And I feel like even people from big cities, I shouldn't put it just on small towns. I've seen people from big cities that scared to leave they block. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the projects. We have people scared to leave the projects, you know. What is it about you that made you feel like I'm comfortable leaving everything I know, going to a whole other place to try and pursue this thing, you know?
Honestly, it was something in me that told me, like, I always wanted better for myself. And I was just like, I just knew where I was in Sykeston. I couldn't live up to my full potential that was burning inside. I knew I wanted to do something better. I didn't exactly know how, but I just knew to move. Like this ain't it. So I need to figure it out. So I would have more of a chance of being great at what I want to do in Dallas than in Sykeston. It's just more opportunity, you know.
We got a young man already who's made a decision to say, this track career I was pursuing has not worked out. Boom. I'm gonna find another answer. We got a man that left his hometown, small town in Missouri, said, it ain't popping here. I'm gonna go find it somewhere else. And now we got a man that's saying, hey, I came to college to pursue some things, not going the way I want to. I'm going to step out here on a leap of faith here and pursue something that ain't going to be a guaranteed paycheck for me. So you made some crucial decisions here that were gambles for a lot of people. And you kind of have to operate on either faith or, I don't know, a sense of confidence in yourself that I'm going to find a way to do it. So to me, that's huge, you know. I've made similar tough decisions, and I just know that you know, I've gotten to conversation with some friends from back in the day, and they were like, "Oh, you know, La, your life was different. You did this, that, and the other." I'm like, "Dude, we was in the same grade, the same school."
Same everything.
Know, I joined the military. That wasn't my dream or my passion, but it was a better opportunity in front of me than what I saw the other things were.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't underestimate the power of making choices and, you know, recognizing the risk and understanding that this may not go the way I want to, but nothing's guaranteed in life. And I commend you for making a series of tough decisions here that kind of got you to another level. So I hate to keep jumping in there, but I really want to point out to the listeners here of who may be in similar situations. Sometimes they're scared to step out there and say, let me go for this. Now I know I'm going to get to the part where it wasn't just boom, I made the decision. Everything was smooth sailing after that. You faced quite a bit of some trials and tests after that. So share some of that with us, our viewers here.
It was to the point where, because you're going to have people around you, family members, oh man, you need to, you know, get some money, or you need to, you know, this ain't making money, this ain't working out for you. I feel like it's working out, even if it's just one little thing a day, it's cool. But I did have bills at the time. I had my own place, I had my car note, but it was like my faith started growing as the time went with me doing what I'm doing. And the more I believed that things were going to work out, it always did. I remember times where, hey, I had to sacrifice. Maybe I didn't eat the best, you know, every day, you know, but I know that in the end, this camera is going to take care of me. I didn't maybe go eat Wendy's every other day, cut back on going out to eat, maybe didn't go on too many dates, you know, had to cut the women out, you know, that can be money too. So I'm just sacrificing everything to get to this goal that I saw in mind for myself, is where I'm at today. You're going to have your family. Some people tell you don't do it. Don't, you got to block all that out. They don't see it until you get there. When you get there, now it's, oh man, my brother doing so great, or my son doing so good. So one thing I just did was just, kept my head down and just kept in my mind, like, keep going, keep investing. And as time went on, it's like things just start unfolding. Clients start coming. I'm doing stuff for them. And I tell people this all the time. Do things that you love so well for free, to where people will pay you to do it. Free to fee is a real thing. I've done plenty. Sometimes today, if I believe in a project, even though where I'm at today, if I believe in a project and the client got the talent, they might not have the money, I'll be like, you know what? Tell me your budget. What can you do? Let's go knock this out the park. We'll knock it out the park. Now they got somebody that saw that video. They might come and invest into them. Now they got the budget. Because I decided, and they'll never forget that. People never forget that when you look out for them like that. And even some clients that they're with me for years and years, just based on my whole attitude with just, I want to help you with what you're doing. I'm not here to just take your money. I'm not here to just, it's bigger than that for me. It's a real passion. It ain't, I started off doing stuff for free with no money. So you know how hard that is. Like, they're doing something for free and you don't have no money. Yeah. So just stepping out there and just believing in yourself, and just knowing that every day is a growing process, and it ain't. I've been through home. Just living in my car. I'm living in my car with all my clothes in the storage and going to Starbucks.
Hold on. It's not jumping to that just yet here. So what I heard here was, you said believing in yourself. If you could, just give me a handful of characteristics or qualities you think are essential to help you navigate this time period in your life. So I hear a few, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. So, what do you think was necessary characteristic traits to help you navigate through that time period?
For me, it was mainly believing in myself 100% and knowing that everything is going to work out. Everything's going to work out. Okay. I'm in a journey. It's always going to work out.
Okay.
Another one would be just really just picking, like, everybody got advice for you, but something they might say might be for you and other things might not be. So you got to really be knowing who to really have in your circle. Whoever's around you is very important also. If you got somebody around you that's negative, let them go. Put them over in this category. Keep people around you that's going to always feed you, and you can feed them. Y'all back and forth. That was a big part of my success in the beginning, because when you don't really have too many resources or too much money, relationships, it's what's going to be your money and your your way to come up, because in the end, that's all you got. If you ain't got the people, you don't have nothing, you know. So
now, some of the things I heard in there was, you said belief in yourself, but I heard perseverance. It was determining day in and day out, I'm going to keep putting the energy, focus into this thing.
Yeah.
And regardless of whether I reach my goals as quickly as I want to or not, I know that I'm passionate about this. It's not even work to me because I am so passionate about it. I heard humility, doing stuff for free, even when I ain't got the money. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't put a front on to say, hey, I got it popping and all, but, willing to help others and knowing that I'm planting good seeds for myself that in time will bear fruit. And I think a lot of times people feel like they hit the road, I should be able to charge these same kind of fees that, this dude been at it for 10 years, been doing, and you ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? You may have to do it for free,
That's like the same steps. Same steps.
And then it's just the ability to kind of self-evaluate, look in the mirror and say, okay, am I making progress? Some people may not see it the way I see it, but the fact that I had, whatever, a job this week or 2 jobs, it's progress. It moved me in right direction. I'm making connections. I'm making some contacts. So I saw a lot of good things in there that I think some people may take for granted. Maybe you just naturally possess these abilities. Maybe you develop them over time. But I think a lot of people need to be able to take heed to just the small nuances of what's necessary to get from point A to point B. So again, I just want to kind of dissect that a little bit and, help people recognize, what's really important to success is coming really from inside you at the end of the day. Yes, you're going to find people along the way that's going to help you out. Someone's going to help you get to the next stage. But if you don't possess what's really needed, because people who are successful and already at a certain level, they kind of know either consciously or unconsciously when they look at somebody else, does this person have the tools to support me or help me or to get to where I am? And clearly you had those qualities, and we're all works in progress. So I'm sure you got better over time, but you already had a certain innate understanding of what it took to be successful. So again, I commend you on surviving those times of difficult, challenging times. So you were saying that, hey, I was homeless. I was in a car. Let's pick up from there.
I was homeless. I was in the car. I remember my guy, Cornelius, they call him Cornelius Beats. He made beats. He was a beat maker. We connected real tough. I remember he was telling me, first time I met him, he told me my work sucked. First thing out of his mouth. He said, man, this ain't it. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, man, this little dude, like younger than me talking. You kind of be like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? He actually sat down and showed me, like, okay, this is too high. This is this and this and this. We connected right there. So a lot of the stuff that I actually learned with being an entrepreneur, I learned from him because he was younger than me, had his own studio, had things going on. So I'm like, all right, cool, we really can connect. So connecting with him actually opened my mind up to, like, he was just like somebody to just hold you accountable. Like he's still my friend today, like one of my closest friends today. And he was going through similar things too, risking it all. He had a kid at the time. He was risking more than me because he had a kid. So I'm just like, man, so that kind of motivated me, like, yo, seeing him going hard. So I was like, me and him was in it together. We started a All-Star magazine together, which is still going on today. We started shooting music videos together. And then after that, that's when he introduced me to my business partner now, Rahim Handy. So then me and Rahim connected. So we all kind of like, all cool, running in the same circles. And then that's when we had a client, Bruce Carter, call us. I remember me and Cornelius was just flat, bro. We using our last little bit of money on the 4th of July, grilling out with his daughter at the park. And this guy, Bruce Carter, called us. This was the turning point for my career. And he said, hey, you Dominic? I'm like, yeah. You able to travel? I'm thinking traveling around Dallas. I'm like, yeah, I can travel around Dallas, Fort Worth, cool. He was like, no, I need you to travel around the country. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. He's like, meet me at this address tomorrow. He sent me an address. I met up with him, not knowing nothing about this guy, nothing. So, and I think at that time, he was probably giving us like $3,500 a month. Me and Cornelius splitting it. We just recording some simple stuff for him, simple stuff. But that door opened up for us to work with Master P, Little Romeo, Yo-Yo, Joe Torre. Like, we was on tour with them for like 8 months. You know what I mean? Like, just networking with them, then the people they know, and they just started expanding. So we learned a lot. A lot of the business tactics that we kind of learned as a young guys in the industry, was from Bruce Carter, just because we got to see behind the camera and when he was doing certain things behind closed doors or in front of closed doors, and just how he handled himself, not letting his emotions get in the way of anything. So I learned, like, we learned a lot from him. And from that point on with him, it just expanded everything. And I would say everything just turned into a wildfire, like all of our connections. Even when we go to like me and Rahim linked up, we went to the BET Awards back in like 2013, 2014. I ran into Yo-Yo and I ran into Sean Ross from Bruce. He like, oh man, come on, man. He had me interviewing Mike Tyson, man. Just because I knew him, he had me put me in the room with Mike Tyson. Wow. Put me around all these people that I was like, man, I never thought I'd be in this room. Just I'm here filming them like that, you know. Yeah. But that's why I say just relationships. Sean wasn't paying me, Bruce was. But through Bruce, I met Sean. Sean connected me to be in this room with Mike Tyson. Yeah. So that was just like the point to where everything started going. And then after that, of course, Drummer Boy, just being in that whole community of BET Awards, that whole experience was just something. So we went to that like 3 years in a row. Just building up everything. And, you know, like I said, relationships is everything. We met a lot of people on that road with just going back and forth. Even at that time, we didn't really have money like that. But we were traveling with the Army. So it just so happened that every time the BET Awards had an event, the Army was flying us out to cover their events. And it was the same weekend. So we was able to do the Army stuff in the morning and then go hang out at night with the BET. So we traveled for free. All of it was free. Hotel was free, everything. Through the Army, and we were still able to go out and mingle with the BET Awards, you know. So a lot of that.
You full-time hustling at this point.
Oh yeah.
You said relationships obviously was important. Something else I heard was though that you're willing to be open-minded to hear criticism.
Yes.
You thought you was a certain level of my work is good, and then someone comes along and says, "Yeah, not quite that good." It's like, what you mean? You know, again, that's to me that humility of saying, well, tell me why it's not good. Because some people, they're gonna shut down. No, I don't want to hear it. You can't tell me nothing. You know, that type of attitude. But you just want to listen. And I think regardless of how far along in the world we are, how successful we are, there's almost always gonna be somebody further along than you. You know, I'm a millionaire. Okay, there's tens of millionaires out there. I'm worth 10 million, somebody's 100 million. I'm 100 million, somebody's a billionaire. So I think you have to surround yourself, like you said, good people, a good team. You always have to be willing to listen and learn. And I think no matter how far along you may go, there's someone that can add some value that you have to be willing to listen to and hear that can make a substantial difference in your trajectory, you know, of where you're going next. So again, kudos to you for being there. Take that sort of feedback because a lot of times don't want to hear it, you know. So again, good on your part to be able to do that. So now you're doing this BT Hip Hop Awards. You're at a whole nother plateau, and where things go from there.
Things from there went pretty much. I would say a lot of the stuff we got after that was like word of mouth and just relationships. I would have, say for instance, Drummer Boy when I met him. He'll come into Dallas. Yo, I'm in Dallas. You know, he had me in studio with certain people he doing. Still dealing with Bruce Carter in Dallas. He had me doing certain things. He actually connected me to a guy, Tony Hughes, that actually connected me with the Potter's House. So I'm doing the Potter's House. I'm doing Drummer Boy when he come in town. He had me come out to Atlanta. I got, you know, and outside of that, we got other little small projects going on. Word of mouth started taking into effect. And, you know, my guy, Tru Def, that was formerly a Roc Nations artist. He had a lot of noise going on in the city too, and it was just everybody just seeing my work from every angle, from the corporate stuff, from the Army, from Potter's House, music videos. I was just killing it all the way around. So, and at a certain point in Dallas, it was just like I think the last thing I did in Dallas with Bruce was with Bernie Sanders. I actually was on the road with Bruce Carter when Bernie Sanders and, you know, Donald Trump and all of them in 2016, we were doing the campaigning. So that gave me another side of politics and all of that. And got me into that realm of how they do things. And after that, that was when I was just kind of in Dallas. I was like, man, you know what? It's time for a change. I want to do something different, just spice it up a little bit. I got Dallas doing what they need to do. Like, we have a studio there now. Rahim's there, taking care of that. And I made the decision to move to Atlanta to kind of expand what we're doing.
Okay.
To expand.
So once again, you don't seem to be attached to to places and situations. You seem to have a, what do you think that comes from that you have the I don't know if it's curiosity, courage, to be willing to step out into the unknown and venture out into, new territory.
I would say it's more curiosity and courage. And the only reason I feel like, honestly, the decision I made to move to Atlanta was like a one-day decision. Like, it just came over me like, man, I should move to Atlanta. I could always come back to Dallas, but with me traveling so much with the Army, like they had us in, San Diego, LA, Atlanta, DC. Like I traveled so much with them and made so many relationships with other people in other cities. This is like, why am I stuck in one place? Like I need to, the world started getting smaller the more places you go to. I'm like, okay, cool. Like everything is open for me to have business. I got businesses everywhere, business clients everywhere. So I'm like, man, let me see what's in Atlanta. Some told me to just move to Atlanta, and I was just like, man, I'm gonna do it. Even though my business partner was like, man, we're killing it in Dallas. We need to make stick around. I'm like, no, man. Some telling me to go to Atlanta. We need to expand out here in Atlanta. So and I hear Drama. Drama was already telling me like, man, you should probably come out to Atlanta. He's been telling me that for years. I was just like, nah, I ain't coming. I can't come out there. We're doing something in Dallas right now. I can't move right now. So I was like, you know what? I hit him up. He was like, yeah, man, yeah, just come through, man. Come through. He's like, man, you can come stay at my crib, whatever. So I stayed at his. I moved to Atlanta. I drove all my stuff to my mom's house, out of my, storage or whatever. Came to Atlanta, met Drum. Drum had me in the studio. Like Drama really opened the door for me to have a lot of success here in Atlanta quickly. Like, the first year he had me in a room with Birdman, Young Greatness, Lil Mo, NBA Youngboy, Scott Storage. He put me in a lot of rooms and like just networking with these people. Like once you, got in the room with them, they like, okay, the main thing when you're in rooms like that, don't just be all starstruck. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the room because I'm just like you. That's how I look at it. I'm introducing myself, introduce yourself, keep it moving. But it's like having those relationships, it always branches out. Like that's one thing that's number one, a relationship over anything. They see you a genuine person, they're gonna put you on to the next person, the next person, the next person. He put me in a room with Keisha Cole. I remember they hit me like I was in Missouri back home and midnight. They called me, Keisha Cole need a cameraman for tomorrow. I'm like, man, I'm gonna drive back to Atlanta. Well, we're gonna buy you a plane ticket to come out in the morning and we'll fly you back to Missouri to drive back. Like our literal was in New York for less than 24 hours just to record a show. And in my head, I'm like, man, they probably ran across like past millions of videographers to get to me to go film Keisha Cole in New York. I'm just like, cool. But like little opportunities like that, the Drama always put me into. And then, even now, like we still work together now, still best friends, still, real cool. Anytime he called me, I always, pick up, always good energy and everything, and always put me around good people. And then after that, I guess, him branching me out, I started expanding and doing my own thing also. And that's how I kind of got into now, like doing reality TV shows and movies, just meeting people around here. Another guy that I connected with through Drama was my guy, Shot for Shot Imagery, Daryl Christmas. He's my business partner here now with Production Plus, another production company that we just started in April this year. So, that's pretty much how everything started flowing here in Atlanta. That's pretty much how everything's
I know we went through a lot of that kind of fast, and it's a lot of good stuff in there. I know it's going to be helpful for a lot of people. I do want to ask a few questions that if I was an aspiring photographer, videographer, that I would want to know, just, for someone starting out with the basics. So you mentioned that you was always kind of artistic, creative as a young person. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until, was it high school or college that you actually started taking some classes in these arenas, or when did that start, in college?
I was always in art class, and all the way from elementary through high school, college, I was always doing something. I always had an art class. I never went to school and didn't take an art class.
Okay.
Never.
And how did those classes kind of help you to develop your skill set?
They all helped me because I was into drawing and painting at first. So drawing and painting is still kind of, to me, like a form of, because you're drawing like still objects and stuff like that, is a form of like, so when I got behind the camera, it was easy for me to get certain angles or certain to see certain things because I could draw. But then when I started getting into video, the photography helped me with the video because I already knew how to do the settings and everything like that. So a lot of the little small technical things like learning the color wheel and, you know, complementary colors and all that type of stuff was over the years just helped me out with knowing what to do with video and lighting, understanding lighting, how it hits the face, how, you know, I'm really detailed in that area with just knowing what colors work with each other in lighting. But over the years, that's pretty much what I got out of it. Just knowing what looks good and creating my own style and my own niche to what I am doing and being confident in that, you know?
So you started with the drawing skills, you then transitioned to photography?
Yeah, drawing skills and then to photography.
Do you remember like when you got your first camera? What type of camera was your first camera?
My first camera was a $600. I remember I spent my last on that too. It was my last. I was so scared about that camera, man. It was a $600 T3. It didn't even shoot 1080p. It was like 720p, a little stock lens. I remember taking a picture with it, thinking I was the man back then, man. I used that camera to death, but you know, I turned that little camera into a bigger camera eventually.
$600 is a lot. I mean, you know, for people that don't really understand that, and I don't know what a T3 is, but is that just strictly still photos that were taken with this?
It could do video, but it was mainly a photography camera. Mainly photography. You know how now they got the hybrid cameras that do photo and video, but back then it mainly took photos, but it could do a little bit of video.
Now, you said you started making some money back from that. What was like your first type of jobs or gigs you were getting that helped you to start, you know, getting you return your investment on that?
The first ones was music video. Music videos kind of started getting me some of my money back, but it took months to get money. Like I probably went maybe 5 or 6 months with making no money with the camera, just strictly still had my job, still had my day job to kind of help me out, but I wasn't making no money from the camera. It was just pretty much free work, building up my portfolio.
So you knew at the time you bought this camera though that you wanted to make this a business and a career. You wasn't doing this strictly as a hobby.
Nah, I knew I wanted to turn it into a business, but what I did was I knew I couldn't go cold turkey on my job. I used my job to fund my business, you know.
Okay, gotcha. And that's very important. A lot of people just there is a time where you want to step away on that leap of faith, but you have to keep the bills paid, the lights on, and food in your belly before you can just step out there and try to make a living off of it. I had some friends and buddies back in the day who, you know, military and different, you know, corporate jobs who kind of picked up photography as a side hobby. Their opportunities to kind of make money from it was like going filming somebody's wedding. Did you ever go down that path? Did you know kind of I didn't want to do that, or, you know, how'd that work for you?
I kind of dabbed down into like events and weddings. Weddings are pretty good. I like doing weddings actually. It's kind of like mostly like kind of where you start is kind of the most clientele you'll get. Like I started with music videos, so I got a lot of people to do music videos. Now over time, like at this point, I've shot hundreds of music videos. So I'm like, okay, I've done that. So I'm actually cutting back on music videos and actually focusing on things that don't require so much of my attention and time into it. Sometimes working with artists, it can be a long, drawn out thing. And then especially since, you know, the pandemic happened, it changed the film industry. So a lot of things are now, you know, like live stream, like what we're doing now, podcasts, everybody doing everything from home, live streaming. So I kind of tapped into that realm now where we're doing like pretty much like I said, podcast shows, live streaming events, switching, you know, live switching, editing. So to cut down on having to come back to the computer and edit. So that's kind of the route we're at now. But the wedding industry is pretty good though. It's booming, but it just never was my thing to kind of full time, you know. Yeah.
So you say you kind of started with videos early on. If I'm a new photographer, and I'm saying, okay, I want to be like Dominic. He said start with music videos. You know, would I just go walk down the streets of Atlanta and find, you know, a street performer? Or like, how do you get in with these artists that are even willing to let you film for them?
It's almost that simple.
Okay.
I remember having my camera. I could walk through the airport with my camera, and I would at least have 6 people stop me. Hey, you shoot? Hey, you shoot videos? Hey, you shoot videos? It's easy. It's a marketing tool. Just walk around with get your camera and walk around and take it wherever you go throughout the day. Somebody gonna stop you and be like, "Hey, you shoot? What do you shoot? Oh, you shoot music videos? Oh, yeah, bad. I need somebody to shoot me tomorrow."
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
it's just as simple as that. Like that's how like in Atlanta, you'll find an artist just walking out your door.
Okay,
Like,
I hope everybody heard that because that was big. Basically, what I heard was stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. If you
stay ready,
show
so
people what you do for a living, have that camera out, people going to ask you questions. You can start to create some business like that. So, you can't be in a position where people don't really know what it is you do. Having that camera out, and that could probably go for any walk of life. If I want to be a clothing designer, I got my clothing brand. I got to be out there wearing and sporting my stuff. So people say, hey, what's that brand? Where'd you get that from? If you're an athlete, hey, carry that basketball, carry something that says, hey, I'm this athlete, I'm that dude or whatever. So that's big. You say, just be ready for it. Show people what you do, and opportunities will kind of come. So we got a lot there. Now, you've done a lot. You've come very far. I would get to wrap some of this stuff up here. What are you looking forward to? We're wrapping up 2022. What are you looking forward to in 2023? Like, where do you want your career to go for this year? Like your short-term goals and big picture of things. Like, what would be ideal if you can wave that magic wand and say, "Here's what I want my story to look like." What will be an ideal scenario for you?
For me, 2023, I'm looking to, because I'm in a whole nother space now from back then. It's more now. I'm delegating more work. I'm having more of a team. I've always been into team, but more just delegating. Got editors, so I can be more hands off with things and actually work on building my film school that I'm working on doing from home, an online film school where I can teach people how to do all the things that I do and be able to make money from it and, be successful in it, because one thing that I know now is like, the older you get, you realize you can't run around with the camera forever, not necessarily saying I'm old, but I know that I've done a lot already. And I know that there's a lot of younger guys underneath me that are like really drawn to just learning and really hungry. So it's like, teach them to do it. I pass them the gigs. That's one thing that we do at Production Plus. We have a lot of production companies underneath us, young guys, or even other production companies that aren't doing as well. And what we'll do is, since we get so many clients that reach out to us every day, we give them those gigs and, we'll take a percentage off of it, but they'll stay busy and actually make money. We actually had some of our clients, making 8 to 10,000 a month based off just us giving them gigs, So being more hands off, we just got a grip truck, which is a 5-ton, grip truck, box truck that we use, rent out. So really just delegating everything to where we can be more behind the scenes even more, to be able to focus on like my online school and focus on more things. We're just building our own content. Next year, we plan on doing more of our own movies, doing our own podcasts, doing our own everything. Everything is in-house. We want to own it. It's all about the ownership now, instead of, because we give a lot of our energy away for everybody else's creative dreams and what they want to do. Yeah. We helping this person with his podcast. We helping this lady with a movie. We helping this lady with her commercial. But it's like, we doing all this. We giving away a lot. Like, we need to be doing some stuff for ourselves. So that's what we're doing now. We're scaling back and building ourselves up to give back to people that need to be or see what we're doing that's inspired to do what we do.
So I heard a couple of things in there, some quick follow-up questions on. So one, I heard that we got the inside scoop here. We're going to start this online classes.
Yes.
So I know we did a very high level, bird's eye view here, but for people that are aspiring photographers and videographers and want to get into this industry, you're saying that, hey, I'm going to start doing some classes for them to learn. We can do a much more deeper dive into some of those classes and software and different strategies and techniques that helped you to, get to where you are. So I think that's huge. That's big right there. But aside from obviously the skills, you talked about being a business owner and understanding money and delegating and whatnot. how did you feel like you developed your business skills, really understand how to manage these things and how to budget and how to reinvest back in my business? Where did that come from for you?
It came from making a lot of mistakes with money, man. Came from making a lot of mistakes with money and just sitting back like, man, like, what did I do with my money? Because growing up, I didn't really have I guess you could say, the knowledge of really to save money or invest or do certain things. So I really had to learn it from a blank canvas. And I think the best way to learn anything is making mistakes. Once you make a couple mistakes, you start thinking like, maybe I should do it different this time. Maybe I should start saving and putting stuff here and just looking at money differently. Looking at money and in ways to your money to make money. I might have went and bought a 5-ton grip truck, but hey, it was $6,000 to buy that truck, but I'm renting that truck out for $1,500 every day.
There you go.
It's gonna make his money back in a month. So it was like just really just thinking like, okay, how can I future-proof myself to where money's coming in, I'm still able to do what I love, and I can still be successful. So that's the main thing I would say. Just to kind of scale back and grow. Scale back, sit down, think, and grow. That's it.
So again, with the online classes out here, we're going to get into some technical stuff. I think a crucial part of that at some point in time will be helping them to transition from, okay, you got the skill sets to here's how you put a business together. Here's how you manage these dollars. So either yourself or you bring in some experts to say, hey, here's how you make that transition as well. It's going to be important.
Taking your hobby to turning your hobby into a career. That's pretty much what we're doing. Taking your hobby to a career, because it's a lot of people that got a lot of talent, but they got talent and they know how to do certain things, but it's like, you got to do it. There's a way to do it to where it's structured and turn it into a business. Because you can be out here just shooting videos and making a little money. You don't know how much money you're making. You ain't keeping track of it. You ain't got a Stripe account set up. You ain't got your, where people can pay for it. You can actually see how much, I did good this month, did bad this month, or this worked this month, but this one didn't work this month. If you're not keeping track of it, it's like you just really just shooting blanks. Just trying to, you might hit a few times, but you don't really know what is coming in for you, So, just structuring it. That's what the whole course is going to be about. Just teaching people about the skill set about it, everything behind the scenes that I do to make my stuff look great. It's really like a shortcut, really. If you take the course, you'll definitely learn a lot. And then actually showing you how to structure your business, get an LLC, open up a bank account, like all the things that most people don't know how to do in business. They just have the talent. So, but I would say business is more important than actually the talent, because I know people that actually know the business of photography. They don't even shoot. I know people that do that, like here in Atlanta. They don't know nothing about a camera, but they know the business side.
Wow. That's big. So I know we spent a lot of time talking about your beginnings, your journey to get to where you are. We talked a lot about the filming side, the video side, the networking, the building relationships, the characteristics and qualities it takes to persevere and reach these dreams here. But I feel like we'll sell our viewers short if we don't get into just some of the nuances of, okay, here I am, but the reality is, okay, I like to talk about, I look at this as 3-part beings: body, mind, spirit. So, part of the mental is, okay, I got this career, I got this business, and that can consume us a lot of times. How do we find that balance to say, okay, make sure I'm taking care of my body? Clearly, your work sometimes keeps you active, so that may help to form some sort of exercise. But then for me, spiritually speaking, okay, relationships, love, I know you're a new father and all that. How do you find that balance of, okay, the career, the relationships, the kids, I'm taking on these new things and trying to juggle them all. And when I say quality of life, people a lot of times just think financial. And to me, quality of life is a lot more than just how many dollars I'm bringing in. It's am I happy? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't want to do too much of a segue here, but DJ Twitch, performed on Ellen DeGeneres show, had a wife and children and whatnot. We don't know any details of why this man took his life. I don't want to speculate at all. But clearly there are people who on the outside looking in, seem to be doing exceptionally well as far as the career and life. But then you don't really know what's going on inside of a person mentally and spiritually, and what challenges they may be facing. So I put that out there to ask you, say, hey, how do you navigate and juggle these new responsibilities as well as, these new dreams and stuff that I have, goals?
I'm gonna be very transparent and honest with you, man. It's a everyday battle to kind of keep everything in balance. Because I would say, before I got with my significant other, before I got with Kiera, it was just like it was just me. I was able to move. Some of the things that she has brought into my life that I would have never thought about, like me, you know how we are. Like, I'm running around. I ain't thinking about furniture. I ain't thinking about none of that. She kind of, I'm looking around now. Okay, I have furniture. I got my son. She keeps the house where it needs to be. There's things that I don't even think about as a man. My whole thing is just get it. But at the same time, like, now I got my son. It's just like, it made me think of things that really mattered. Like, he's looking at me. Like, if I'm gone all the time, he doesn't see me. I don't see him. So it's like, it kind of almost forces you. Life, when you get to that point, almost kind of force you to kind of focus on balance. Because sometimes I'll be at work and I'd be like, man, I can't wait to get home to my son. Yeah. I get home. First thing I get home, I see him running to the door. Like, that's like everything to me. See him running to me to the door. I'm like, man, I wish I could be here more. So that's why I told you what I said about just trying to delegate everything so I can be home more and have my time and have my freedom and be able to be
smarter, not harder.
Work smarter, not harder. So it's just like, but I mean, it's a balancing act. Sometimes I'll get some gigs that'll take me away from home for a couple of days or whatever, but it's always, I have to, at least to kind of even out that balance, I might have to, hey, hold on set, take a FaceTime call. Hey, how's it going? Just any little thing to, show Kiera, hey, I'm here. Is there anything going on? What do you need? If I got an Instacart something to you, like what's going on? Just always trying to make it work. And I'm trying to do better at it. Sometimes I get at work and I get consumed in it and I'll be like, man, I got to call home. Man, I've been here for 5 hours. I got to call home. Yeah. And then sometimes I even forget, so it's just like, it's a work in progress. I'm going to say that. But
so what's it like being a first-time father?
Being a first-time father is amazing. It definitely opened my eyes up to life and time. Just when you see your son, he's just a little, just fit in your hand, and in a year he's running around, walking, and it makes you look like, man, like time is really flying. Like, I can't believe my son is about to be 2. So, and it just gives you another sense of responsibility. I got a whole life that's like, I'm responsible for. He's leaning on me. He needs me. I have to be in his life every single day because I'm molding this young man to be someone that I want to be better than me and have a head start in. Like me, I didn't find my passion until I was 21, 22. Not necessarily saying it's at a certain age you're supposed to find it, but if, like, my parents weren't entrepreneurs, so it's like, if my son can see me in that and I can get him a head start and at least finding out what he liked early, I think he would be more successful than me and actually know and be confident in what his ability is as a creative or whatever lane he takes to go at it 100% and looking at what I'm doing and be confident and like, yo, I can do this. See, my dad do this all my life. Yeah, I can do this. I believe I can do that. I can do it because he did it. My dad did it. He tell me every day I can do it. So, but yeah, being a father is great, man. I love being a father, seeing my son and just seeing, that's just all together is just like everything to me, man. I can't even put words to it.
Yeah. And it's a journey. I remember you and Kiera called me and say, hey, we're expecting. And if you recall, one of my first questions was, well, are you guys happy? And you're like, yeah, we're happy. We're ready to take on this responsibility. So my answer was, hey, if you guys happy, I'm happy. I love it. But my word of caution was, the pregnancy is not the hard part. People think that's the tough part. Like, when that kid gets here, that's the tough part. And
you gotta think of too, at that time though, when we found out, that she was, we're having a kid, the pandemic happened. So it did get hard. It did get hard. Like, we found that out, and then next thing you know, I'm getting, pandemic happened. We go to the store, nothing's in the store. clients calling, oh, our wedding is getting canceled, our event is getting canceled. I was supposed to go to South by Southwest, lost money on a flight, hotel. I'm just like what's going on? I think we were probably like the last people to find out about the pandemic, man. I don't know what, but we made it through that. But I think that just made us stronger as a couple. Of course, you know, ain't no couple perfect, but it made us stronger as a couple. We made it through that. We made it through the year after, but it was just a lesson, you know, lesson learned about just, it makes you look at your finances different, like really start putting some money up, because you never know. You never know when the world might throw an alley hoop at you, and you might have to just show up in the game and, you know, slam dunk it and get through it, you know? So, but yeah, that definitely was something that made us stronger as parents.
It's something I always say, you know, I don't ever try to force, you know, faith or you know, religion on people. I consider myself a spiritual person, but, you know, I'm a father of 4. And so, you know, my first kid at 19 and my youngest kid at 40. So I was at 2 different extremes of being a young father and having absolutely no clue to being a much older, wiser father, but realize faith, spirituality, what you want to call it, being a young father versus being a much older, wiser, mature father comes with its pros and cons. But I think for me, each and every time a situation that I had a child, you know, there's an initial, I want to say panic. Out of my 4 kids, the only one me and my wife was shooting for was Soraya. And even that came with a curveball, because we went for her to go get some woman treatment surgery going on. So we're expecting that, hey, you know, we want to do some things to kind of put us in a position to have a child. And we went on that day to the hospital, and I won't go into great detail today, but they told us, hey, we can't do the procedure today. I'm like, why not? Well, your wife's pregnant. I'm like, whoa. So it's like curveball, like, okay, I know he's working towards that, but I wasn't like ready today, you know? But I can say, and this is why I say the faith part comes in, each and every instance, doors open up, opportunities come. I can't, you know, put that on anything other than, you know, a divine hand that steps in and says, okay, I know what you're going through. I know the challenges that you're going to be facing here. And I feel like God just provides, you know, he finds a way. So for me, that's just a matter of having faith that sometimes we can't see the path ourselves, you know, but when we try to do the right thing, you know, this is integrity. This is, you know, trying to have some character. I feel like, you know, the laws of the universe, what you want to call it, kind of rewards us to be able to, you know, take on these new responsibilities. So that's been my experience. I tell any young fathers and mothers or parents to be, you know, keep the faith, you know, pray, meditate, whatever it is you do to try and connect. And all things always seem to kind of work themselves out. I know that some people may have some tougher times, but I believe heavily in self-reflection, looking in the mirror and say, okay, if this is my experience that I'm going through and I'm not happy or liking what I'm going through, what do I need to do differently to change my situation? A lot of times people just want to kind of point the finger at, oh, this boss or this coworker, or this partner, or this whoever it is the problem and not me. You know, it's hard to be taking on a responsibility and say, okay, maybe I need to do something different. Because I believe, you know, relationships are challenging, but there's a lot of growth opportunity as well. I've had friends, you know, people who were single till they was 40 years old, and then they, I guess, decide I want to be that dude in the club no more, or I found the love of my life, whatever the motivation may be. And they get these relationships, and you would think that, okay, at that age, you know, they should be handling this no problem, and they dealing with the same stuff you was handling back at 19. You know what I'm saying? That's what relationships are. They test you to the depths of your soul. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be able to look in the mirror and say, what do I need to do differently? The same way you will with a business. This business isn't getting me results. What do I need to do differently? Someone gives me criticism and say, okay, your shots are wrong. Your lighting is wrong. This, that, and the other. You can push back. Oh, no, I know I'm right. Which is how we approach relationships a lot of times. Like, oh, no, I got to figure it out. And the reality is 2 people come from 2 different backgrounds, 2 different experiences in history. What may work for a person when they're alone, single, may not necessarily work in a relationship. There is some compromise that has to take place. People have to be humble to say, okay, that's not the way I'm used to doing things. I never had an example for that. Never had, a role model, whatever the case may be. I'm willing to listen, learn, to see if there's any truth to this. We'll test it out. If it don't work, it don't get results, then maybe we have to go back to the drawing board. But I know what you're going through. We do talk time to time. Again, I respect you for having the ability to say, hey, going through a tough patch here, a rough spell, not a lot of people have that ability to say, hey, I could use some help here. Call it pride, call it being a man. We just weren't taught to know how to be vulnerable in certain moments. Open up, and I think when you open up, you allow opportunities, blessings to kind of come to you. And no one's saying it's easy, but it's doable.
Yeah, just that learning, man. It's just like I said, hey, what am I doing wrong? It's the same thing, like being a father or being a great partner, especially now at this point with being a father and having a whole family together. Like, it's like my dad, I know my dad, but he wasn't around. So it's like me learning, how can someone be a father if he doesn't know what a father should look like, But at the same time, it's like, I watched the Cosby Show and all that. I'm like, man, that's, it looked good, but I'm like, man, I can't, I've just never seen it. So it's just like working off a blank canvas. And my whole thing is now, I talk to my dad about it all the time. It's just like, just breaking that cycle. You know what I'm saying? So him not being around doesn't mean that I can't be there for my kid. And he has a great relationship with my son. He come in town, he see my son, and I'd be like, man, my dad really, really hanging out with my kid. And, it's just one of those moments like, dang, I just took a picture in my head just now. Like, man, this is beautiful. So just overcoming those things and understanding that, hey, the cycle of life, my son is going to have a better outcome than I did. Not saying that I had a bad one, but my outcome is the reason I'm here today with him, to help him get to where he needs to be in life, So
absolutely,
it's all about just being a father and just like I said, breaking that cycle. That cycle got to end somewhere, and usually the first person to do something is going to be harder on him. So I'm up for the challenge.
Amen to that. So again, money is great if you don't have someone to share with, you don't have people you love. Sometimes just being able to enjoy the moment, and sometimes we get so consumed in one project or one goal after the next, and we don't take the time to really appreciate, what we've attained, what we've achieved. So I appreciate you opening up, sharing all that information here with our viewers. Sure. Hopefully we took some good stuff from out of here. Again, I want to give you your flowers for what you've achieved, how far you've come from where you began to where you are now. I wish you continued success and the best in all the next chapters of your life.
Thank you.
You got some people leaning on you, and like you said, setting the stage for the next generation to come. And at the end of the day, life, I feel, is about growth. Whether we make tons of money in this world or not. I tell my kids all the time, I look at character, I look at integrity. I'd rather be a happy janitor than be a billionaire of poor, character and poor integrity. So finding that balance, because at the end of the day, no one's promised tomorrow. You've lost some people you loved in the past year or two. I've lost someone I love in the past year or two. We won't go into that now, but I'll invite you back another day. We might touch into some of those topics as well, because, this is life. People are going through it. Health challenges, financial challenges. So I want this podcast to be real, not just to sell a dream to people that, all they see is the shiny object, and they don't realize that regardless of where someone else is or regardless of where you are, people are dealing with real life stuff day in, day out that causes us strife, stress, whatever you want to call it. But finding that balance of recognizing the good in my life, and something I heard you say earlier again was, even when things were kind of dark, you had somewhat of an optimistic attitude of, I know this is going to get better. I can see the silver lining here of opportunity and a better tomorrow. So again, appreciate you taking this time out, sit down with me. Hopefully we'll get together again sometime in the future. We'll look forward to 2023 and seeing what you achieve in the next year. And thanks for everything again, Dominic. Appreciate you.
Man, appreciate you for having me. The platform I love it. People need to hear this, and I'm excited to see where all of this goes, man. I'm excited.
All right, well, we're gonna make this bigger and better. We're gonna take it to a whole nother level. So again, appreciate your work with the brother when he starting out.
Gotcha.
All right, Nick, y'all take it easy, man. Get the family my love.
Definitely will.
All right, we're Krown, baby.
All right.